Are you constantly asking yourself, why do I feel so unappreciated? Or, after everything I've done, why do they seem so ungrateful? It's a question that haunts countless parents. You poured your heart, your time, your money, and your very soul into raising them. You sacrificed, you guided, you loved unconditionally. And yet, as they've grown into adults, a painful distance has appeared. You feel a coldness, a lack of acknowledgement, a silent resentment that you just can't understand. It feels like a fundamental betrayal, a moral failing on their part. But what if this isn't a problem of morality, or a simple lack of gratitude? What if this isn't a flaw in their character, but a symptom of a deeper, more profound, psychological war being fought in secret between you? I'm here to tell you something that will feel both shocking and perhaps deeply relieving. Your child's ungratefulness is likely not a conscious choice. It is not an act of disrespect. It is a powerful, unconscious reaction to a hidden dynamic you are not even aware of. We've all been told that the parent-child bond is sacred, a pure connection. But what if that connection is also a battleground of unhealed projections and generational trauma? What if your love, in its purest form, has been unconsciously tangled with expectations, fears, and parts of yourself you never dealt with? This isn't just a painful personal struggle. It's a silent battle that the great psychologist Carl Jung understood on a deep level. He saw that the most intimate family relationships are often the most complex, a mirror reflecting our own deepest unconscious conflicts. Jung's work reveals that what you perceive as your child's ingratitude is, in fact, an echo of the very emotional burdens you, and perhaps generations before you, have placed upon them. It's a truth so profound, it will challenge every assumption you've ever held about your family dynamic. But by facing this truth, you have the power to not only heal your relationship with your child, but to finally find peace within yourself. Are you ready to see the real reason for their distance? Are you ready to discover the powerful, unconscious force that is truly at play? This isn't just about a feeling of being unappreciated. This is a journey into the bedrock of modern psychology, a deep dive guided by one of its most revered and formidable minds, Carl Gustav Jung. Jung wasn't just a therapist. He was a cartographer of the soul, an explorer who mapped the most profound and mysterious landscapes of the human psyche. He brought us concepts that have permeated our consciousness, from the collective unconscious to the powerful archetypes that shape our behaviors. But his most profound work, and the key to understanding this family dynamic, lies in his concepts of the shadow, the persona, and the unconscious. The persona is the mask we wear for the world, the socially acceptable facade we present to others. The shadow is everything we deny and repress the parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable, whether it's our insecurities, our unfulfilled desires, or our hidden resentments. And the unconscious is the vast, hidden part of our mind that holds all of this, silently pulling the strings of our conscious life. Jung argued that our closest relationships, particularly those with our children, are not just interactions between two individuals. They are a profound, often chaotic collision between two unconscious systems. This brings us to Jung's critical theory of complexes. A complex is a cluster of emotionally charged ideas, images, and memories that exist in our unconscious. They are often formed from our own unresolved childhood traumas and our parents' unconscious projections. For example, a parent who is never praised for their artistic abilities might develop a creative complex. Unconsciously, they will then project this complex onto their child, pushing them toward an artistic career. The child, in turn, may develop their own parent complex, a cluster of feelings and memories centered around this emotional pressure. They don't know why they feel resentful, only that they feel an immense weight tied to their parents' expectations. This is not a conscious rebellion. It's an unconscious struggle for psychic freedom. The dynamic you're experiencing isn't a failure of love. It's a symptom of these unhealed complexes at war. Your child's perceived ungratefulness is often a protective mechanism, a desperate, unconscious attempt to push back against the weight of your unhealed shadow and the expectations tied to your persona. You might believe you gave them everything, but your unconscious may have been subtly, or not so subtly, asking for something in return, for them to live out your unfulfilled dreams, for them to validate your sacrifices, for them to be a certain way to make you feel complete. This isn't a moral failing on their part. It's a clash of two psychic systems, two souls struggling to break free from the invisible chains of the past. By understanding this, you can move beyond the surface-level pain of ingratitude and begin to heal the root of the problem. For years, you've been grappling with a painful narrative that your child's ungratefulness is a character flaw. You believe it's a lack of empathy, a sign that they've forgotten everything you've done for them. This is the simple, surface-level story we tell ourselves to make sense of the pain. But this is the dangerous misunderstanding that keeps you both trapped. This feeling of ingratitude is not a moral failing on their part. It is not an act of disrespect. It is a powerful, unconscious reaction to a hidden burden. And you, the parent, are the source of it. This brings us to the most critical concept from Jung's work, the parent complex. This isn't just a simple set of memories. It's a deep, emotionally charged cluster of beliefs, expectations, and traumas that your child carries, often without conscious awareness. This complex is formed not just by your love, but by everything you have ever projected onto them. It's built from your unspoken expectations for their success, your unlived dreams, your unhealed traumas, and your own fears of failure. For example, if you grew up in poverty and desperately wanted financial security, you might unconsciously place an immense burden on your child to succeed financially. You believe you're doing it for their benefit, but on a psychological level, you are asking them to live out your destiny and validate your sacrifices. Your child cannot be grateful for what they unconsciously perceive as a weight, a burden, or an act of control. You might have provided them with a great education, a stable home, and financial support, but if that giving was a vehicle for your own unhealed projections, they will feel it. They might not be able to articulate why, but they will resent the very things you believe they should be grateful for. The car you bought them isn't just a car. It's a subtle symbol of your control. The college you paid for isn't just an education. It's an unspoken expectation for a specific type of life. Their ungratefulness is their soul's desperate scream for psychological freedom. The deeper, more liberating truth is this: your child's apparent ingratitude is a mirror. It is reflecting the parts of yourself you need to heal. It's a powerful signal that the symbiotic bond you had with them as a child, the bond where your identities were intertwined, has not been fully broken. You are still unconsciously trying to control their life, to find wholeness in your own. Their rebellion, their distance, their silence, all of it is a cry for separation, a necessary act of psychological self-preservation. It is their way of saying, I cannot fulfill your unhealed needs, and I need you to be an individual so I can become one myself. This is the ultimate promise of Jungian wisdom. You do not need your child's gratitude to find peace. The true path to healing this relationship is not to demand their thanks, but to turn the gaze inward. The only way to liberate your child from the burden of your expectations is to reclaim those expectations for yourself. The anger you feel at their ingratitude is a reflection of your own unhealed pain. By facing this, you can finally become an individual, and in doing so, give your child the greatest gift of all, the freedom to become an individual as well. Now we arrive at the heart of the matter, the unconscious warfare that is silently tearing at the fabric of your relationship. You've been asking why your child is ungrateful, but the real question is, what is this ingratitude a reaction to? It's not a conscious choice on their part. It's an involuntary act of psychological self-defense. This psychic battle is waged with a primary weapon: projection. Projection, in Jungian terms, is the unconscious act of seeing your own repressed traits, unhealed wounds, and unfulfilled desires in another person. As parents, we are masters of this. We unknowingly take the parts of ourselves we have denied our shadow and project them onto our children. Perhaps you are a wild spirit who is forced to be a conformist, so you unconsciously project that repressed freedom onto your child, resenting their spontaneity. Or maybe you felt a lack of validation from your own parents, and you now project that unhealed need onto your child, subtly demanding that their achievements validate your worth as a parent. This is a subtle, yet powerful form of emotional control, and it's happening without your awareness. You don't see them as a separate individual. You see them as a mirror for your own unfinished business. This is where the ancient, but still active, symbiotic bond comes into play. As infants, our identities are completely intertwined with our parents. But as we grow, a natural, healthy process is to sever that bond and individuate, to become a separate, whole person. When a parent unconsciously projects their shadow onto their child, they are resisting this necessary separation. They are, in a very real psychological sense, holding on to their child, refusing to let them become their own person. And this is why your child's reaction feels so powerful. Their ungratefulness is their soul's desperate scream to break free from this entanglement. Think of it this way. Your unconscious is a storyteller, and you have written a role for your child. The lines are pre-written, the plot is predetermined, and their job is to play it perfectly. But every human soul has a deep primal need for authenticity. When your child feels the weight of your expectations, they have only two unconscious choices: to comply and lose themselves completely, or to rebel and risk losing your love. Their ingratitude is often the only way they know how to say, "This is not my role. This is not my life." They cannot be grateful for the sacrifices you made, because they perceive those sacrifices as a price they must pay to live a life that is not their own. They feel the debt of your expectations without ever agreeing to the loan. This creates a vicious, agonizing cycle. You resent their lack of gratitude, and they resent the pressure behind your giving. It's a painful feedback loop of misunderstanding and unspoken hurt. The only way to break this cycle is to stop looking at your child and start looking inward. You have faced the abyss. You have walked through the dark night of the soul. Now, you stand at the peak of your journey, and the view is unlike anything you could have imagined. This is the climax of your solitude, the point of no return where the process of individuation begins to yield its most profound fruits. The person who emerges from this crucible is not the same person who went in. You are no longer a fragmented being desperately seeking a missing piece. You have become a unified whole. The first and most exhilarating result of this transformation is an unshakable sense of psychological liberation. You are no longer dependent on anyone else for your happiness, your validation, or your sense of worth. The neediness that once drove you into relationships is gone. You realize that the external world cannot give you what you have already cultivated from within. You have become your own best friend, your own confidant, and your own greatest source of love and support. Jung would call this becoming your own perfect partner. You have integrated your anima or animus, making you a complete, androgynous being in the truest psychological sense. You are no longer searching for an idealized fantasy in others, because you have finally met that fantasy within yourself. This is not a state of cold independence. It is a state of profound self-love and self-possession. You have made yourself your own home. The loneliness you once feared is replaced by a rich internal life. You have a constant dialogue with your subconscious, a connection to your soul, and a sense of purpose that does not rely on a partner's approval. This newfound wholeness transforms not just your solitary life, but every single one of your relationships. Because when you eventually choose to re-enter the world of romance, You will do so from a position of power, not desperation. You are no longer looking for a partner to complete you, but for a partner to share your wholeness with. You will no longer project your unhealed parts onto another person, because you have already done the work. Your relationships will be built on authenticity and genuine connection, not on codependence or shared illusions. You will be able to see your partner for who they truly are, and they, in turn, will be able to see the real you. Your choice to stay single was not a sacrifice. It was a strategic withdrawal. It was a time to gather your psychic resources, to heal your inner wounds, and to build an unshakable foundation for the rest of your life. This is the ultimate affirmation of your power. So, what is the ultimate life-altering lesson we can take from Carl Jung's profound insights on this painful family dynamic? It is this: the feeling of your child's ungratefulness is not a sign of their moral failing, but a sacred signal. It is a sign that the very ground of your relationship is built on a foundation of unhealed projections and unconscious expectations. The true path to healing this family wound is not to demand gratitude, but to turn the gaze inward and begin the most important journey of your life, the journey of individuation. The deep and meaningful lesson here is about understanding that true peace and happiness in your family relationships do not come from a child's external validation or thanks. It comes from your own internal wholeness. You are not just a parent. You are also a separate, unique individual with your own psyche, your own shadow, and your own journey to complete. The moment you stop seeking your own wholeness through your child's life and achievements is the moment you give them the greatest gift of all, the freedom to become themselves. Your anger at their ungratefulness is a reflection of your own unhealed need for validation. By facing this, you liberate not only yourself, but also your child from the invisible chains of the past. This is the promise of Jungian wisdom for parents. You can build a loving, authentic relationship with your adult child, but it must be built on a foundation of two separate, whole individuals, not one trying to complete the other. Your job is not to fix them, but to heal yourself. Your power is not in controlling their life, but in mastering your own. The very act of doing this work is a powerful act of love for both yourself and for them. This is the truth that society has hidden from you. It is a truth that liberates, a truth that empowers, and a truth that sets you and your child free. This is not the end of your journey. It is the true beginning. The path to becoming an individuated parent is a profound and ongoing one, but it is the most meaningful path you will ever walk. Your awareness is the first and most powerful step toward becoming whole. Now the real work begins. We've talked about a silent war, an invisible force, but you are not alone in this journey. There is a community of conscious parents who are ready to move from being unconscious controllers to deliberate sources of their own power. I want you to be a part of this growing movement. If this video resonated with you, if you felt a flicker of recognition, please leave a comment below and share your story. What part of this message resonated with you the most? Let's start a conversation and build a community of parents who are ready to embrace their inner work and find true wholeness. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into Jungian wisdom and practical strategies for your personal growth, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. The journey to true self-mastery begins now.